Okay, let's just get right into it. Something big just happened. Google might have just completely changed the game for Retrieval Augmented Generation, RAG, forever with its latest update to the Gemini API. They've rolled out this thing called the File Search Tool, and honestly, it looks like it's going to be an absolute earthquake for developers.
So why is this such a huge deal? Well, to really get it, you have to ask a pretty fundamental question. We all know large language models like Gemini are just incredible, right? They can write poetry, they can debug our code, they can explain quantum physics, but even the most powerful models out there have one massive glaring blind spot.
And that blind spot? It's your stuff, your world. An LLM might know the history of the Roman Empire, but it knows absolutely nothing about your project notes, your internal wikis, or your company's private financial data. All of that is completely invisible to it. And for developers, getting an AI that understands this private, specific information has been a monumental challenge. Now, for a while now, the go-to solution for this problem has been a technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation. But actually building a RAG system yourself, well, that's been the old way. The hard way. Let's be honest, it's been a complex, expensive, multi-stage engineering nightmare.
The funny thing is, the core idea behind RAG is actually super simple. You're basically just connecting a language model to an outside source of knowledge, grounding its answers in real, actual facts. Think of it like giving the AI an open book test instead of forcing it to answer everything from memory. Sounds pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, not so fast. Actually building this pipeline from the ground up is a serious undertaking. First, you have to source and break down all your documents into perfectly sized chunks. Then you have to create these things called embeddings, which is a fancy way of saying you turn all that text into numbers the AI can actually work with. After that, you've got to set up, manage, and pay for a specialized vector database just to store and search all those embeddings. And we're still not done. Finally, you have to build the complex retrieval and ranking systems to go find the exact right piece of information when a user asks a question. So the crucial point here is every single one of those steps is its own massive engineering headache. It's an infrastructure nightmare that has basically put up this huge wall, keeping this incredible technology out of reach for so many developers, at least until now. And this is where the story completely changes. This brings us to the simple API solution. Enter the Gemini File Search Tool. It takes that entire engineering nightmare we just walked through, and it boils it all down to a simple, elegant API call. And this right here illustrates the difference perfectly. It's the aha moment. We go from this mountain of complex engineering on the left, the chunking, the embeddings, the database management, the retrieval logic, to a few lines of code. That's it. All of that complexity is now just handled for you. So how on earth does it pull this off? Well, the File Search Tool is itself a RAG system. The key difference is that it's a fully managed system. It automates that entire pipeline, hiding all that gnarly complexity from you. And it all breaks down into two key phases. It all happens in two parts. Phase 1 is what they call offline indexing. This is a one-time thing you do upfront. You just upload your files, the system then goes and does all the heavy lifting for you. It chunks the data, creates the embeddings, and indexes everything in a database. Then comes phase 2, real-time querying. This is when a user actually asks a question. The model figures out what they're looking for, finds the most relevant chunks from your data, and then feeds that context to Gemini to spit out a really precise, grounded answer. And what makes this a true game changer is just how ridiculously simple it is to actually implement. It's really just 3 steps in your code. Step 1, you create the file store. Step 2, you upload and import your files with a single API call. That's what kicks off that whole indexing process we just talked about. And step 3, you query the model, just pointing it to your store. It is that simple. The code might be simple, but the implications of this are absolutely massive. Let's talk about the 3 biggest breakthroughs this new tool really represents. Okay, first up, speed. What used to take a whole team weeks of difficult engineering can now literally be done in a few hours. I mean, think about building a custom support chatbot for your product in a single afternoon. Second, and this is critical, is the cost. The data storage itself, it's completely free. You only pay a tiny one-time fee for the indexing and then just the standard rates for the API calls. This makes it accessible to everyone, from solo developers to startups, not just giant corporations. And third, you don't sacrifice any power.
This tool supports dozens of file types and even gives you automatic citations right out of the box, so your AI can always show its work. For years, the incredible power to build an AI that truly understands your private world, your data, it was locked behind this huge, intimidating wall of complexity and cost. With file search, Google has just taken a sledgehammer to that wall. So the whole conversation has changed. The question is no longer how in the world do we build this? That problem has just been solved. The question now shifts to you. Now that you can create an expert AI on any topic imaginable, from your company's entire knowledge base to a vast library of scientific research, and you can do it in a single afternoon, what will you build?